What is up, guys? Mountain here from MauGT, back in with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed the last video that I uploaded. I had a lot of fun making it with my friend Jack from the Kirby's Tales, but today we have a brand new video, and you might notice that here in front of the camera we've got a device that you have never seen on this channel before. And I'm really excited about it. I was really excited when I got it. This is the Blackberry DTEK50. You might have heard of it if you are into technology, but if you're not, you probably haven't heard of it. It is supposed to be one of the world's most secure Android smartphones. Blackberry isn't really known for Android, but they're making a name for themselves in the Android space with the recent release of the Blackberry Key 1, which is a flagship smartphone with flagship specs, with a design that you'd come to expect from Blackberry. You know, a physical keyboard, but it does have some nice features such as a fingerprint scanner built into that physical keyboard, a really nice camera, a great display, and it's running the latest version of Android, Android 7.0. But here in front of me I have the Blackberry DTEK50, the second Android phone that Blackberry released, I believe. The first Android phone that Blackberry released was the Blackberry Priv, which was an Android phone that looked like a normal Android phone, but you pushed the display up and a keyboard was revealed underneath that display. It was a really nice phone. Wasn't too well received, but Blackberry came back again and released this phone right here, the DTEK50. Now, a more advanced version, I guess you could say, of the DTEK50 is the DTEK60. It has better specs and a fingerprint scanner, but here in front of me is the DTEK60. So I got this phone a few days ago. Wasn't really for any special occasion. My parents decided to surprise me with a new phone, and I was really happy. So I actually have a number, I have data, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the phone itself, because as you know, my channel is based on gaming and technology, and even though I've been doing more technology than gaming recently, you know, I decided to upload this video because I was really excited about it, and I wanted to share this with you guys. So this is the phone. It didn't come with this case, but my dad had bought this case when he bought the phone. So we're just gonna go ahead and take this case off for right now. It's a hard shell cover case. It doesn't really offer that much protection, but it's a decent case for some decent protection. So let's go ahead and take a look around the device. So on the back of the device, one second, for some reason the light on my camera keeps coming on and I have no idea why, so let's go ahead and turn that off. Alright, so on the back of the device you've got the 13 megapixel camera. Now this camera is a decent camera, but it's not the best. But it's a lot better than the camera on the Galaxy S2 that I used to use. That was an 8 megapixel camera. This is a 13 megapixel camera with autofocus. I'm not sure if this has optical image stabilization, but I think it does. It can record video in up to 1080p 60 frames per second. No 4K recording here, but that's fine for me. I don't really record video on my phone that much. You've got a dual LED flash. On the back is the Blackberry logo with this nice texture here. Now, you'll notice these speaker grills on the back of the phone. And they look like speaker grills, but honestly, they're just there for symmetry. Everyone thinks that they are real speaker grills. They're not. They're literally just there for symmetry. On the left, or not on the left side, on the right side, you've got your volume buttons and the Blackberry convenience key, which can be mapped to literally any function you want. Now, one thing that it's going to take a while to get used to if you own this phone, and it's still taking me a while to get used to, is the fact that the volume buttons are on the right and the power button is on the left. Most Android smartphones, most smartphones in general, have the power button on the right and the volume buttons either below it or to the left of it. Or some Android phones have the power button below the volume button. That I would not have minded, but they put it on the left side of the phone. I don't really like that much, but it's whatever. I haven't been using this phone for a very long time, so this isn't a full review. This is kind of just a quick look at the phone and what I have to show you. On the top, thank goodness you have a 3.5mm headphone jack. You've got a microphone. You've got your antenna bands because this is an aluminum phone. Now this is not a very expensive phone. It doesn't have top-of-the-line specs, but it does have a pretty nice build, and you're getting a pretty good value for the money, I would say. On the right side, you've also got the SIM card and SD card tray, and this is one of the Android phones that does support the adaptable storage, so you can put an SD card in there and combine it with your internal storage. On the bottom here, you've got your micro USB charging port, no USB Type-C unfortunately, and your primary microphone. So on the front, let me clean this off real quick. On the front, you've got a beautiful 5.2-inch 1080p display, which is perfect because it's just a mid-range phone. It's not a super expensive, top-of-the-line spec phone. So it's just fine. On the bottom, you've got just a plain bezel, no capacitive buttons, but this is where you actually find your speakers. So there's a speaker on the bottom and a speaker/earpiece on the top for phone calls, but this is a dual front-facing speaker system, and I have to admit, these speakers sound really, really good. These are some of the best speakers that I've heard, given I'm used to hearing speakers on an old Galaxy S2. I would compare these to boom sound on the HTC M8 and M9. I haven't heard the HTC 10's speakers or the U11 speakers, but my dad owns a HTC One M8, so I've heard the speakers on those plenty of times. Those speakers are a lot louder, but these speakers are just fine for anything you might need. So as you notice on the top here, I do have some notifications. So you do have a notification light. It is just a white light. It's not a multicolored notification light. You've got your front-facing 8-megapixel camera, way better than what I'm used to. I think it's either 8 megapixel or 5 megapixel. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 8 megapixel. And then you've got your proximity sensors, ambient light sensors, all that good stuff. Let me go ahead and clear my notifications. I do have a pretty complicated password on here. Let's go ahead and clear those out. Alright, so this is the home screen. Now this isn't actually what you'll see when you get the phone, because I have customized this a little bit. This does have the Pixel launcher installed on it. I installed it through an APK, so because I could not stand the standard Blackberry launcher. I just do not like it. But I can switch to the standard Blackberry launcher real quick just to show you what it looks like. So that gives me a chance to show you some other things. So if we swipe down, this is running Android 6.0. That's one gripe I have about this phone. It's running Android 6.0, 6.0.1. Now, given this phone was released not too long ago, it will probably get Android 7.0, maybe 7.1 if we're lucky. But that probably won't come out for another month or so. And the reason why this is a bit of an issue for me is because I'm coming from a Galaxy S2 that was rooted running Android 7.1.2. So I'm missing a few things, such as customizable quick toggles, a bit of a different OS design and layout. I do have the Google Assistant because the Google Assistant is enabled on certain Android Marshmallow devices, and this happens to be one of them. As you can see, I just hold the home button, and there's the Google Assistant. So I do have the Google Assistant, that's not really an issue, but I'm missing other things, such as some of the newer emojis, as well as color-themed emojis, like the different colors or races and genders of the emojis. They're not here because of the version of Android this is running. That's not that big of a deal, but given that most of my friends have newer phones, iPhones, which I will not touch an iPhone, but given my friends have newer phones with all those newer emojis, it used to be they could send me those emojis and they would show up just fine on my phone because I had a phone running the latest operating system. But now that I'm running an operating system that is 2 or 3 versions behind what I used to have, I'm going to miss some of those things. And eventually, this phone will get the update. That's not too big of an issue, but right now, it kind of is. But if we swipe down here, I am on T-Mobile. Now, like I said, I haven't been using this phone for very long, so I can't really give you too much of a full review. That'll come later. But in my not past experience, but let me turn that down actually. In the time that I have owned this phone, I have to say it does work pretty well. I get a great signal pretty much everywhere I go. 4G LTE data is fast, and this isn't necessarily a review of T-Mobile's service because that differs depending on the phone that you have. This does support LTE. I don't know how many bands it does actually support, but in my experience for the few days I've been using it, it works pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and hop into settings. So it is just the standard Android 6.0 settings menu. It's running a fairly stock version of Android, which I like. I don't really like skin versions of Android that much. I like just a pure, I guess now you have to say Pixel Android experience. So we can go into Home here and just change the launcher to the Blackberry launcher. This is the Blackberry launcher. I don't really like the way it looks. It's kind of like the old Google Now launcher style launcher. I don't like it at all, really. It's just not really, because I'm so used to using the Pixel launcher. So having this on my phone, it's just kind of unsettling. I don't like the way it's designed. I don't like the way the app drawer looks. I don't like how you have like a page for widgets and shortcuts. I don't like it. So all I did was I installed the Pixel Launcher APK, switched to the Pixel Launcher, and that's what I've been using ever since I got the phone. Like, that's pretty much the first thing I did when I got the phone. I installed the Pixel Launcher. Now, what sucks is I cannot swipe to the right to get my Google Now feed like I could on my old phone, because that was running, it was actually running a stock version of Android. So what I did was I customized the convenience key on the right side of the phone so that when I press it, boom, it opens up my Google Now feed, so we can see our Google Now feed here. Let's go ahead and close that out. So this is what the app menu looks like. Let's go ahead and open up a few apps here. So if we go in here, it looks just like stock Android. You can change the way it looks, but I changed it to look like normal stock Android. I want the most stock possible experience. Excuse me. So, like I said, I haven't been using this phone for too long, so I can't give you that great of an opinion on things like performance, but let's talk about performance. This phone came out in 2016, I believe. I don't remember what processor it has, but it is 8 cores clocked at 1.2 gigahertz, which is a huge, huge upgrade coming from a Galaxy S2 that could barely do a gigahertz of processing power. It was a dual-core processor, it was very slow, it was very sluggish, and it was horrible. It had a less than a gig of RAM. This has a 1.2 gigahertz octa-core processor, 3 gigs of RAM, so it's a huge improvement from what I'm used to. So, I mean, the operating system in general is just so much faster. YouTube, I completely closed out YouTube, right? And it's still here in the cache. And I'm really surprised about that. It's just a lot smoother than what I'm used to using. So I'm still getting used to just how fast this phone really is. Even with all the Blackberry, I would consider it bloatware because I don't really use it that much, like the Blackberry hub, all those. Oh, sorry, I'm out of frame, jeez. all these like extra Blackberry features that Blackberry has added, that came with the phone, they're not really features that I use. So I would consider them bloatware. But even with all those pre-installed apps, you can disable them if you want. And even if you don't disable them, because I have kept a few of them enabled because they are required for some system services. But even with those enabled, it's still a very fast phone. And it's very capable of running this operating system. So let's take a look at some of the BlackBerry specific features to this phone. So one of the features that I have actually found useful is the swipe up from home button gesture. So if I swipe up from the home button, I've got some widgets here. So I can swipe up to the middle to get to my phone or dialer. I can swipe up and over to the right to access my messages, and I can swipe up and over to the left to access Spotify, because that's what I mostly use for listening to music. And then I just swipe down and it's all gone away. That's really useful for me if I'm in an app like Chrome. So say I'm in Chrome, right? And I was looking up bonbos because I saw it in a show somewhere. I don't remember what show it was, but I looked this up, and let's say I wanted to say something about it to my friend. Instead of having to go to the home screen and then tap on messages, or say messages was hidden in my app drawer, I would have to go to the home screen, then go to my app drawer, find the messages app and tap on it, and then compose the text, right? Now all I have to do is swipe up and go over to messages, and boom, there we go. Or let's say I'm reading about a brand new song that just came out. I can swipe up and over to the left instead of having to go all the way to the home screen and go up to my app drawer, find Spotify. I just swipe up from the home button, go to Spotify, Spotify launches. I can search and type in the song that I want. It's actually proven to be a really useful feature. Because on the first day that I got this phone, I actually took it out and started using it. I was on my way to the bus stop. I was walking to the bus stop and I was looking up the weather. And when I tried to make the search, I was using the Google Assistant, so when I tried to check the weather, a T-Mobile webpage popped up telling me that my line wasn't attached to a data plan. And I knew that couldn't be true because my dad had told me that he did attach it to a data plan. So instead of going out of Chrome and doing all that, I simply swiped up, went to message, I took a screenshot, I swiped up, went to messages, sent the screenshot to him, told him the problem I was having, and he fixed it a couple hours later, and I didn't have any more problems then. So it's actually proven to be a really useful feature. It's one of those features that some people might call a gimmick, something that you might never expect to use, and when I figured out that the phone had that feature, I didn't expect to use it either, but I actually do use it a lot. Now, those widgets are customizable, so if we go to swipe shortcuts in the settings menu, let's go ahead and zoom in on that just a bit. If we go to swipe shortcuts in the setting menu, you can see it says quickly access your favorite apps and shortcuts from anywhere. Tap on a circle below to configure its shortcut. Once assigned, swipe from the home button to the desired shortcut as shown in the image above, and that's it. So I can simply tap on the shortcut. I can pick to open an app, speed dial, send a message, or all of the pre-designated shortcuts such as composing text messages, adding calendar events, making new contacts, calling people, making notes, recording videos, turning on the flashlight, checking the battery level, different toggles for system settings. You can pretty much program those swipe shortcuts to anything you want. And another feature about this phone, something that I actually really do appreciate that BlackBerry has included, is the convenience key. So, like I said, I'm coming off of the Galaxy S2, and it was running Lineage OS, which is pretty much like bare bones stock Android. So I could swipe to the right on the Pixel launcher and get my Google Now feed, but as you can see, this isn't working because of the operating system. It's not integrated into the operating system like it was on my Galaxy S2. And that's actually a feature that I do a lot. Most of the swiping that I do on my home screen is either to the right to access my Google Now feed or up to access all my apps. I usually keep all my important apps on one screen and then I swipe up for everything else. I don't want to have 2 pages of apps or several pages of apps scrolling to the side. So, thanks to the convenience key, I programmed it to open the Google app. So all I have to do is press the button and it opens the Google app. And this works from any app at all. So if we hop back into settings, press the convenience key, it brings me into the Google app. Let's go to YouTube. I'm in YouTube, right? Oh gosh. 1 second. Let's not use YouTube as an example. Let's say Chrome. I'm in Chrome. And I press the convenience key. Boom, the Google app. It's really quick and there's no stutter, there's no lag to it. I'm in the camera app. Google app. It's that quick and it's that simple. And this is also customizable. We can go into settings, convenience key, and then it says, let's go ahead and do that. Quickly access your favorite app or shortcut from anywhere on your device. After you assign an action to the convenience key, press the key when the screen is on to perform the action. So this does not work when the screen is off. As you can see, I'm pressing the convenience key, it doesn't do anything. Now, I haven't tried it with the phone on the lock screen, but as you can see, that doesn't work either. You actually have to unlock the phone, then when you press the convenience key, the assigned action will be performed. So, oh, that's wrong. So down here is where we can change what it's assigned to. So same thing as the swipe shortcuts from the home button. We can choose it to open an app, speed dial, send a message, or different shortcuts, and then it shows you what action has been assigned to it. Now, while we're in the settings app, we can go through a couple of other things. It's just the standard stock Android settings. This phone does have NFC, so it will support mobile payments, and it being a pretty secure Android smartphone, which we'll talk about later, it does support Android Pay. So let's go back here. So this is the home part where you can change what launcher you use. Not every Android device has a dedicated option right in the settings menu for that, so that's cool. We've got advanced interactions, so we can do flip to mute. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. Flip to mute. Silence the device when you receive a call and place your device face down on a flat surface. So let's say you're receiving a call and your screen's facing up, you don't want to take the call. You just flip your phone over, mutes the phone, and you're good to go. Then we've got double tap to wake. Now, double tap to wake can be a little sketchy. It says tap the screen twice to wake up your device, or tap an empty area on the home screen twice to turn off the screen. So I can tap in the status bar to turn it off, which I'm used to doing because the power button on my Galaxy S2 was broken. And I can tap on the screen to turn it on. Now, double tap to wake can be really slow. It's not a perfect replacement for the horribly placed left power button. It's not the perfect replacement because it doesn't always work, and sometimes it can be really slow. For example, so when I got the phone, I went into settings and I saw that double tap to wake was already on, right? So I would try to double tap to turn on my phone and it would not work. It refused to work until I went into settings, turned the setting off, and turned it back on again, and then double tap to wake finally started working. As you can see, it does work, but it's very, very slow. And when you're trying to turn on your phone, you want to do it as quickly as possible. that double tap to wake feature isn't really that fast, but it is useful if you need it, or it's there if you need it. Under display options, we can change the brightness level. Now this is an LCD display. I'm used to using AMOLED displays. I mean, I don't really have that much of a problem with it, but I do prefer AMOLED displays and just how much dimmer they get, and how the colors are just more punchy. I like that a lot better. This does have auto brightness. This is where you can change the wallpaper. You can change what the screen wakes to. So right now I have lock screen notifications. So if I get any notifications when I wake up the phone, it'll show me on my notifications. But let's say I change that to unlock. Let's lock the phone. You can see that the keyboard was up there for a second, but since it didn't automatically lock because of smart lock, it just unlocked the phone. So I'm going to change that back to lock screen notifications. Recents, Rolodex, tiles, or masonry. So by default it comes as masonry. So as you can see, let's open up some more apps to more accurately demonstrate what that really looks like. And yeah, I think that's good. So if we go into our recent apps here, you can see you've got this kind of tile-like page, and you can just tap on the app that you want. There's a little X in the top right corner to close out the app. I didn't really like it. This is how it came with by default. In all of them, you do have a clear all option, but you can just swipe them away like any other recent apps type thing. Alright, let's go back into settings and let's change that to tiles. So you already saw what Rolodex is. That's just the standard Android recent app screen. So let's go ahead and open up all those apps again. Probably not all the same ones, but just to show you. So now we go in, and it's kind of the same thing, but instead of them being scattered in different sizes, they're all just one size. So I can swipe them away in either direction. And then of course, if we go back into settings, change it to Rolodex, we have the standard Android recent apps screen. Daydream is not the Daydream that you're probably thinking of. VR Daydream came with Android 7.0. I don't think this phone actually supports Daydream, but this Daydream is kind of like a screensaver. So when I plug it in or put it on the dock, it can display different things like photos, the time, different colors. We're going to go ahead and turn that off because I don't really want it on right now. We've got color adjust, so I can change the white balance of the display. Now, I did know that this feature existed, but I have not really played around with it much. So we can make the display a warmer tone, or we can make the display a cooler tone. Now, you might not be able to notice the color changing. Hold on, let me adjust this. You might not be able to notice the color changing through the camera, but I can see it, and it is definitely changing. We can zoom back in here just so you guys can read this a little bit better. We've got show battery status on screen edge, and it's like a little indicator that shows you whether the phone's charging or not, as well as its percentage. I have it off because I don't really use it that much. I don't really like it there. We've got the productivity tab. This is similar to the Edge features on the Galaxy S7 Edge and Galaxy S8. So it puts a little tab right there on the right edge of the display. Right there. You can change where it is. Oh, I never showed you. So you do have double tapping the power button to launch the camera. So if I double tap that, it brings up the camera app. Let's go ahead and unlock this. Let's go back into settings. So if I swipe over on the productivity tab, it tells me, calendar's free, go on an adventure. Then in here you've got your different settings for the productivity tab. I have it off because I do not like it. Gets in the way. You've got casting, pretty much every Android device has that. You've got font size, all that good stuff. So that's all under the display option. I showed you swipe shortcuts and the convenience key. You got sound and notification, which just lets you customize your notifications. This is where you can turn on and off the notification light. You got do not disturb, all that good stuff. Pretty much standard on every Android device. You've got your app management, standard on every Android device, nothing new. You've got storage and USB. So I have put the SD card that was in my S2 into this phone and combined it. So it came with about 6 gigs of storage available. Yeah, it was about 6 gigs. So I have added this in here, so now I've got some more storage for apps and games. Battery. While we're here, let's talk about battery. It says I have approximately 3 hours left. Now, my S2 would say the same thing, and I could not believe it. But with this phone, I can believe it. I love the battery on this phone. It's probably not the best for super heavy usage, but it works well for me. I'm at school for about 8 hours a day. I spend most of my time at school. I don't really use my phone that much in the morning, but I use it a lot at night. Or not really at night, but closer to the evening. So let me tell you about my day typically. So I wake up, because one of the rules that I got with this phone is I have to keep it in my parents' room at night. So I wake up, I brush my teeth, I take a shower, I get dressed, and then I go get my phone. It's plugged in, I take it off the charger at 100%. I turn the phone on, I decrypt it because the storage is encrypted. I decrypt my phone, I lock the screen, put it in my pocket. I go downstairs, I get breakfast, make my lunch, or get money for lunch, whichever one I decide to do that day. I pull my phone out of my pocket, I do my good morning streaks on Snapchat, lock the phone, put it in my pocket, I'm out the door. Get to the bus stop, I take out my earphones. By the time I get to the bus stop, I left the house with 100%. By the time I get to the bus stop, I'm either still at 100% or somewhere between 97 and 100, somewhere around that mark. I take out my earphones, plug them in, check to see if my data's on, start listening to Spotify. Bus comes in about 5 minutes, get on the bus. I'm usually talking to my friends while I'm on the bus, so I take my earphones out, wrap them up, lock my phone, put it back in my pocket. I get to school, I'm around the 90, 88, 95, if I'm lucky, around that percentage. So I don't really lose that much percentage. Now, running through all of these same tasks with my Galaxy S2, this would drop my battery about 20%. So by the time I get to school, not even maybe 20%, even more than that. So by the time I get to school, I'm at like 66%. So I got to school 88%. I'm really happy because this is something I've never experienced before. So I'm not really using my phone that much during the day. It's not completely off, but it's locked in my pocket, just sitting there, idle pretty much. I take it out sometimes to do BYOD in class, and that's really it. At the end of the day, I'm left with about 30-40%, which is something I'm really not used to. So I'm really happy with the battery life on this phone. Like I said, I haven't been using it for that long, but from what I experienced so far, it's actually pretty nice. I know this is really long for a first look, but I do have kind of a lot to cover. In terms of charging speeds, it does support Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0, I believe, but I think the charger in the box is a quick charger, but it does charge fairly quickly. Under memory, this does have 3 gigs of RAM, so this is your RAM management page. Shows me how much RAM has been used in the last day, the last 3 hours, the last 6 hours, the last 12 hours. Standard on every Android device, nothing new. I've got my users, I've got me and a guest user. I can add another user if I want. I've got tap and pay. Payment default is Android Pay. Use default always, except another payment app. So it's just your tap and pay settings. pretty much on every Android phone that supports NFC and mobile payments. We've got your location, settings, I've got security. So this is something that I don't really see on a lot of Android devices. So if we zoom in here, automatically wipe. So it says wipe device after 10 failed unlock attempts. So let me show you something here. So we're on the lock screen and the phone is currently locked. So if I swipe up, it says enter password, remaining attempts 10. So let's just put in the wrong password there, and you can see it drops the remaining attempts to 9. So when you enter the password in incorrectly 10 times, it will completely wipe the phone. Now, I don't know exactly how this feature works. I don't know if it, when you turn it back on to set it back up, if it will ask for the password, but that's just some extra security if you want it. I have it on because my dad had turned it on, and I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to turn it off, so I'm just going to leave it on. You can set a lock screen message, and you do have smart lock on this phone. This phone is encrypted. I don't know if it was encrypted by default or my dad encrypted it, but either way, it's just some added security. I remember when it was either the Nexus 6 or the Nexus 6P and 5X, one of the three. When you encrypted the phone, it would become a lot slower than a non-encrypted phone. Now, I don't know what this phone is like when it's not encrypted, but even though it is encrypted, I still get great performance. You can lock your SIM card, make your password visible. You've got device administrators, unknown sources. Now, yes, this is a really secure smartphone, but it does have a lot of features that normal Android phones have, and one of those is enabling unknown sources. So I have that enabled because of the Pixel Launcher. The Pixel Launcher obviously is not available in the Play Store if you don't have a Pixel or a device running Lineage OS. This is not running Lineage OS, and it is, as you can clearly see, definitely not a Pixel. So I enabled unknown sources so I could install the Pixel Launcher. You've got your credential storage, screen pinning, all that good stuff, standard on every Android phone. You've got accounts, standard. Oh, didn't mean to do that. You've got your Google settings, standard on pretty much every Android device with Google Play services installed. You've got language and input. Blackberry spell. Oh, why don't I turn this on? That's why I've been having some issues. So this is currently on Blackberry spell checker. I'm going to put it on the Google spell checker because I do have the Gboard installed. Because I hate the Blackberry keyboard. I do not like the way it looks. I don't like the way it works. It's honestly really ugly. So I switched to the Google keyboard, or the Gboard, because that's what I like using. That's what I'm used to using. You've got your text-to-speech settings. All that good stuff. You've got backup and reset. Standard. Diagnostics. This is something that I haven't seen on any Android device except for this one. I'm sure it's on some others out there too, but it allows you to send your diagnostics and usage data to Blackberry for bettering your experience. That's what all the companies say. I'm not sure if that's actually what they use it for, but that's what they claim to use it for. You've got accessibility, just all your accessibility settings, everything that you'd find on any other Android device. Date and time, standard. Printing, standard. Developer options, which you do have to enable, but standard on pretty much every Android device. It's nothing new. You can change your animation scale, all that good stuff. It's pretty much like every other developer options page on every other Android phone that exists. And then you've got About Phone. You can see, you can check for a system update. I would recommend checking for system updates, you know, on Wi-Fi. But as you can see, it says I am up to date. So we've got your status. Don't want to click on, wait, hold on, because my phone number will be in there. Oh, okay, so it doesn't, for some reason it says my phone number is unknown. It's interesting. But under the status page, just like everything else, you've got your battery status, battery level, IMEI, your MAC address, all that good stuff. You've got Android version. This is 6.0.1, so we do have the Flappy Bird like Easter egg. Let me see if I can play this through the camera screen. I doubt it. Let's see if we can just get one. Ah. One more try. Crap. Alright, well, that's a fun little game that you can play if you want. It's there if you want it. So that's the settings panel. That's pretty much everything in there. Other than that, this is just like every other Android phone that's out there. Or every other stock Android phone out there. I mean, you got the camera app, which is nothing special, like at all. It's really nothing special. The camera is decent. It's definitely not the best camera out there. It focuses, I guess, relatively quickly, relatively in relation to the Galaxy S2 that I'm used to using. So that's nice. You do have a front-facing flash because of that notification LED. Let's see if we can get it to turn on. So we can actually turn it on as a torch. So you can see it does come on there. And then if we just turn that off right there. So, like I said, you've got a front-facing 8-megapixel camera, I believe. It's just a standard camera app, Blackberry camera app. It's nothing special, really. The front-facing camera seems to be decent. Let me take a quick selfie here. Not the best selfie in the world, but this is it. It doesn't have that great of detail. When you zoom in, you do lose some of the detail. It's not that great of a camera, but it does the job. It gets the job done. It's actually not that bad. Let's see if we can get another picture in here. So this is a picture of my side of my head. I got a fade a couple days ago, or not a couple days ago, yesterday. So that's just a quick picture of that. So it's not the world's best camera. It's definitely not going to stand up to anything like the Galaxy S8 or the iPhone 7 Plus, but it gets the job done. It's a decent front-facing camera. The rear-facing camera is also not that bad. Actually, let me go ahead and snap a quick picture with that and then show you guys. Now the rear-facing camera is actually decent. You do get a good amount of detail when you zoom in. There's not too much of a loss in detail. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to cover. I guess you could pretty much consider this a full review because I went over. Well, not really. I kind of went over everything the phone has. I didn't really give you too much of my opinion, or I tried not to anyways. But this, guys, is the Blackberry DTEK50. All in all, I think it's a pretty nice device. I'll go over the security features in a later video. But overall, I think it's a really solid device, and I can see myself easily using this for the next few years. It doesn't have USB Type-C, so it's not completely future-proof, but eventually it will get Android 7.0, and all my emoji troubles will be over. So, yeah, this is the DTEK50, a mid-range phone that came out in 2016 that I am using in 2017, June 3rd, 2017, and it's providing a pretty smooth experience. I've got Snapchat running on here just fine, Instagram runs on here just fine, YouTube, games. I've been playing PES 2017 on this a lot. That's pretty much the only game I have installed so far. I just installed Gear Club. I'm a huge fan of racing simulators, but it's just like every other Android smartphone. And I guess Blackberry kind of tried to set it apart with its security features, the DTEK app, the fact of how it's so secure and encrypted. Honestly, when you push that all aside, there's nothing that separates it from a device like the OnePlus 3 or, any other mid-range device like the Moto Z, despite, or other than a lack of a fingerprint scanner, which the DTEK50 has, even though the DTEK50 isn't a mid-range phone. It's pretty much just like any other Android phone that you can go to the store and buy. It's simple, it's clean, and it's Android. It's the same beautiful operating system that we all know and love. And no, this phone will not be for everyone. It will not suit everyone's needs, but it suits mine just fine, and for most people, I think it will suit their needs too. It's a simple, cheap, but very worthwhile phone that I would recommend to anybody on a budget who still wants a decent phone. Yes, or no, it's not the newest thing out there. It doesn't have the Snapdragon 835 or 6 gigs of RAM or a 21 megapixel camera with a 4K display or 2K display and 4K recording. But for what it's worth, you're getting a lot. And I think that it's a great phone. Great starter phone, great phone if you're on a budget, great business phone, even just a great chill out and have fun phone. It's got a camera that is usable, definitely usable, and actually gives you some decent pictures. It's got a pretty good resolution display. Honestly, 1080p on a smartphone is really all you need. If you want 2K, you can go up to a more expensive phone, but 1080p is just fine on here. It's an LCD display, which actually happens to be quite a nice display. The speakers are nice and loud. Reception on the phone is great, even with the metal frame. It's a complete package, I would say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed taking a look at my brand new phone. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a comment and like the video. Comment on what you want to see with this phone. I won't be able to root it or make any customizations, anything like that. But if there's anything else you guys want to see, if you want me to let you know when Android Nougat is out for the phone, you want me to do a coverage on that update, just let me know. I will probably be able to do it once it comes out. Let me know if you guys want any camera samples, video recordings from the phone, and I can try to get those to you guys as soon as possible. If you want more videos like this, or want to see some of my other content and want to see the latest content as soon as it comes out, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. That way you know whenever I upload a new video. Any video suggestions, again, drop them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to make them happen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.